when I look at the numbers and brought in approximately 36 million of new assets last year organically, you're not out buying firms or anything like that.
Right.
36 mil in a 10-month year in a massive transition where you just literally shuffled the whole deck and kind of started over from scratch in many aspects. That's stellar. So congrats on an incredible year last year. One of the things that I've seen you do really, really uniquely and well is how you've incorporated books, writing books into your whole practice. I wouldn't say it's like a marketing funnel. It's like woven in to the fabric of your company. So I'd like to pivot and talk about where in this journey did that come about, and give me the Dan DeVerna version, like life before the book, life after the books. What did that look like?
Yeah. And so I think, so my business coach liked the idea of me writing a book. I saw John Ruhlin, who had this metal business card, and I thought that was great. Yeah. So I hired a marketing company, find me cool business cards. They were going to cost like $5 a pop. My business coach is back to me going, dude, write a book, $5 business cards. And it gives you credibility. It's better than any fancy business card. So I tried to write a book of my own, realized I can barely spell, tried to do it with dictation. I can't put the things together. Finally, I hired this Ivy League guy, and this is awesome. Like, this dude is great. Went to Columbia, great author. He spends some time with me over the phone. We get 2 chapters done. I give it to 3 people. I give it to my business coach for 1. He comes back. He's like, God, you spent some money on this. I'm like, yeah, pretty good deal, huh? He's like, yeah. What'd you get, an Ivy League guy? I'm like, yeah. Like, it's like, that must have cost you. Yep, sure did, but it's good. You know, he's like, hey, you want to know the problem? And I'm going to take out some of the swear words, but I said, no, like, what's the problem? He's like, it's well written. He goes, but you're a hillbilly, and you can't have a hillbilly's book be written by an Ivy League guy.
Yeah.
So you need to find somebody that can capture your hillbilly voice. And I'll take it. Like, I grew up like out in farm country type stuff. And he was right. And that's the feedback I got from all 3. So I found a guy who is local here, and I would pace behind him while he's smoking cigarettes and drinking Jack and Coke. He's just typing away. And so we get done with this book, and it has my voice, right? Like, it's definitely me. And then we start to get into, so that was a union guide to union workers' retirement. And then we got the idea that, like, I was spending a lot of time in Vegas. And so we took the same book and we took the construction part off, and we put the Las Vegas, because they have very large unions out there. We put Las Vegas, like flashy Las Vegas stuff for the hospitality workers. And then we're like, so that was just the same book with a different cover. And then we took the next phase, which was, hey, we're working with a lot of medical professionals. How much could we get away with this book not rewriting and just taking it? And so my guy built that out. And so we have the same, like, I've written, I think, like 6 books, and there's at least 70% of this book is the exact same. He changes, like, medical professionals for union workers, and the covers are obviously different, and these subtle nuances.
Well, couple lessons I take from that. The first one, you don't have to write a book. And I think that's one of the biggest hurdles or mindset blocks that a lot of financial advisors have. Is like, I'm trying to write it and I just can't write it. And, there was the best-selling book in the world ever. It's called the Bible. Jesus didn't write a word. He just said some stories that other people wrote down. So I know there's a lot of companies these days that will actually scribe it, like what you're talking about, where you can kind of put it in your own words. Now, with that being said, I'm not recommending have somebody else write a book and then slap your name on it. And what you did was you took what was in Dan's brain and then put it on paper, but then also took that second step where you made it your voice as well, which is, I think, really, really important.
Super important, because if someone hears me speak, it's the same words. It sounds like me. Like, it's not this book written by somebody else.
Yep.
It's definitely got my fingerprints all over it. And then we learned how to use the book. So I would say the next 3 or 4 years, we didn't really know all the way how to use the book. Like we gave them out.
Yeah.
And I would say, hey, how many do you want? And I'd give them 3 or 4 books. And then it just seemed like nothing happened. And then it feels so cheesy. It still feels cheesy to me to sign my books. Like, I got to be honest, still feels cheesy, but we've made it fun.
Yeah.
So I'll walk in, we've got the client. We'll do this in the very first meeting. We'll do it in any meeting, but the first meeting is when it seems like it's most effective for us. So Sally will be sitting there, and I will come in and I will say, hey, Dan, nice to meet you. Did you get one of my books about, especially if they're in one of these niche markets?
Mm-hmm.
And I will sit there and I will go, so you have any friends that should get one of these? And usually they'll be like kind of ho-humming. And then I'll say, well, what, and I'll start, if they didn't get one, I'll write one to them. But usually they have had one or seen one or whatever. And then the second move is I will sit there with the pen or the marker right up against the like I'm getting ready to write. Mm-hmm. And I'll say, so who should I be writing this out to? This is extremely crucial. If I give Brad 2 books, if Brad's going to give one to Sean
mm-hmm.
and one to Jordan, I have to write their names in. I don't know why that's so important, but the delivery has gone up exponentially, like 100-fold when we did that. So when I give you a book with Jordan's name in it, you give it to Jordan.
For sure.
When I give you a book with nothing in it or no specific name, I think they end up in the garbage can at the gas station. I don't know. But they get delivered, and I make light of it. So as I'm waiting for you to say Jordan, you get like I'm asking you for a referral. Like you mm-hmm. get, and then if I can reach them, and I usually find a way to reach them, I tap them on the shoulder and I go, hey, I'm not selling you books. My mom's the only one that paid full price for this thing.
Right.
And, maybe the only one that read it. Ha, ha, ha. Now we're all good. Did you say Jordan? Is that who we're writing it out to? And I have found when we're tracking it, if I give out 2 books, I get 1 new person from those 2 books. So
hold on, stop there. So Brad comes in, let's just use that exact example. My 2 friends, Sean and Jordan, you give me 2 books, you write each of their names, 2 Sean, 2 Jordan. So I walk out with 2 books, maybe 3 if one's my own. And you have found if I walk out with 2 books for friends, one of those becomes a client. That's your ratio?
So the question is, how do you give out more books, right?
So what's your follow-up from there? Like if I'm an advisor listening right now, what's the follow-up? How do they get to your office from that?
The follow-up would be, and it's me. So this is where we're starting to work on this because there's too much Dan in the system. But this is what I think of this as fun. Like this is like a sport.
This is back to your cold calling days, man.
This is who I am. Like this is the grittiness of this. And when someone has that book, you've established credibility. The first meeting is like it's already done. It's a slam dunk when you meet with people for the first time. And so that process, we're still working on it, but my process would be, I would reach back out to Brad and say, hey, if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind following up with Jordan on the book. People, when you're sitting in front of them, they have a hard time saying, hey, here's Jordan's number.
Yep.
What I have found, though, is if I give it a little space and I back off and I say, hey, Brad, I know Jordan wants to talk to me, but sometimes it's like intimidating. They don't know me yet. So if I haven't heard from Jordan the next time we talk, is it cool if you give me your number? All Brad's really worried about is that I'm not asking for Jordan's number right now.
Yep.
So if I want to communicate to Brad 2 weeks later on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. asking for Jordan's number, Brad sends me Jordan's number almost every time.